Testing, testing.
Good evening, councillors. Good evening, guests. Um, Mr. English? Yeah. Good evening. I'm Councillor Malcolm Mackay, the Chairman of the Licensing Committee, and I'm pleased to welcome you to the meeting this evening. Tonight's proceedings will be webcast, live and recorded for playback. But if anyone else is intending to record these proceedings, can you please let me know now? This is not to stop you, but to ensure that those in the room that know that this is taking place. No one wishes to. If the fire alarm does sound, please remain seated, and the Democratic Services team will assess the situation and give further instructions on the evacuation of the building if necessary. May I ask if there are any apologies?
Thank you, Chairman. We've received apologies from Councillors Miller, Coates and David Nagy. Thank you.
Excuse me, Chair, can I add Councillor Fort is not well, so she won't be attending either. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any substitute members?
Councillor Harper for Councillor Coates.
Thank you. Item 3 on the agenda. There are no urgent items. So I'll go straight to visiting members. Are there any visiting members? I don't see any, so no. Are there any disclosures by members or officers? Move on to item 6, disclosures of lobbying. Are there any disclosures of lobbying? Thank you. Item 7, exempt items. I move that all items be taken in public. Is that agreed? Item 8, minutes of the licensing committee, subcommittee meeting held on the 10th of 10 a.m. on the 5th of June. Do any members have any comments on the accuracy of the minutes? If none, say, no one's got any comments, right? I move that the minutes of the licensing committee, subcommittee, meeting held at 10 a.m. on the 5th of June 2025 be approved as a correct record and signed. Is that agreed? Item 9, minutes of the licensing subcommittee meeting held at 1 p.m. on the 5th of June 2025. Do any members have any comments on the accuracy of the minutes? I move that the minutes of the licensing subcommittee meeting held at 1 p.m. on the 5th of June 2025 be approved as a correct record and signed. Is that agreed? Item 10, minutes of the licensing subcommittee meeting held on the 12th of June 2025. Do any members have any comments on the accuracy of the minutes? I move that the minutes of the licensing subcommittee meeting held on the 12th of June 2025 be approved as a correct record and signed. Is that agreed? Whizzing through these tonight, aren't we? Item 11. Minutes of the meeting held on the 12th of June 2025. Do any members have any comments on the accuracy of the minutes? This is pages 12 to 15. No comments? I move that the minutes of the meeting held on the 12th of June 2025 be approved as a correct record and signed. Is that agreed? Item 12, minutes of the licensing subcommittee meeting held on the 27th of August 2025, pages 16 to 18. Do any members have any comments on the accuracy of the minutes? I move that the minutes of the licensing subcommittee meeting held on the 27th of August 2025 be approved as a correct record and signed. Is this agreed? Item 13, questions and answer sessions for local residents, if any. There are no questions from local residents. Item 14, questions from members to the chair, if any. There are no questions from members to me as chairman. Item 15, the licensing partnership annual update. Pages 19 to 52. The report will be introduced by Sharon Bamborough, Head of Licensing Partnership. If any visiting members, ask them to speak now. Sorry, beg your pardon. I've done that. Yeah. If a member wishes to propose a motion or amend the current one, ask for a seconder. All right. Over to you, Sharon.
Thank you, Chairman. Right, members, before you is your usual annual report, just giving you an outline of the performance for the financial year 2024 to 25. I'm not going to go through line by line, you'll be pleased to know, anything like that. I'm hopeful that the report speaks for itself and shows what a good year we've had and all the work that's been done for each of the partners. Obviously, what in this version of the report, what I flag up is how much has been done for Maidstone, and in the various reports that go around the partnership, it gets altered accordingly for each partner. I am happy to take any questions about the performance, anything in the report, anything to do with the service plan for this year. That's it. Yeah, happy to take any questions.
Sorry, what was that comment? It looks pretty good. We've got to have something in the minutes.
Mr. Chair, would you like me just to congratulate the team on a good year?
I'm sure we do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a question really on the usefulness of some of this RAG rating when the numbers are so small, because just looking on page 31 where the one red item is, only two of the licenses being processed were missed, but that's given it an automatic red rating because there's 2 of 6, and the same further down. They missed one, but that automatically sticks them in the amber because the target was 95, and that takes them down to 90. It just seems a bit pointless, really.
I agree, but unfortunately that's the system I have to use, which is not within my control to amend. Once you put the figures in, whether I put 400 or 4, you know, it just works it out. That said, I know that Maidstone have recently changed the performance system that they're going to be using, because I'm waiting to get training on the new system. So it might well be that in future years the performance data, it won't show like this, which is the system of what's called Pentana software. It might look something different, and it might well calculate it differently, but I don't know that until I've had the training. But I take your point, and that's why I always am at pains to point out when people see the reds or the ambers, look at the actual figures to show that it's not a huge anomaly.
Take John on this subject.
Yeah, just to add to what Ms Bamber said, I think in fairness to the partnership more widely, if you extrapolate across 4 organisations, which you would be doing, it's not just our Maidstone numbers, so across all 4, the numbers are a bit bigger, shall we say, or the quantity is larger. But we can certainly take on board the point you're making and take that back to the partnership board and raise that. Is it necessary to have all of these indicators if they are such small numbers across the partnership?
Councillor Springett?
I didn't have any further comments.
Councillor English?
Under Objective 4 on page 22, it talks about the street charity collection booking system and work being done on better ways to deliver this service. Where are we with that?
Who would like to take that? Sharon?
So, yeah, so the current manager of the central processing team has got it on his list of things to do to get this up and running. As far as I'm aware, it's a work in progress. It hasn't come into effect yet, but it is hopefully going to be. It's fettered by the ability of the Sevenoaks IT team to be able to develop it for them. So it's not that we haven't done the work, it's that we're waiting in a queue to get done, if you know what I mean.
That's a relief. I thought I'd missed something.
Councillor Harbour?
Sorry, thank you, Chair. We're having a quick look at this and looking at the KPIs. Everything seems to be doing very well. So I think we should congratulate the service and the Mid-Kent Partnership in terms of the work they're doing. As was pointed out, there's only one red item, which is only 2 applications. So everything else seems to be in line with what we want. And I just wanted to confirm that HMO licensing doesn't come under the remit of this licensing committee.
No? No, you. So I don't hear any members wishing to propose any motions or amendments to this.
Just
All right,
request, just request that when we do have a clarification from Sevenoaks on where we are with the forms on the street collection booking system, that we told, please.
Okay. We move to item 17. Oh, yeah, sorry, gentlemen. And item 16, taxi policy. Medical certificates, consultation results, pages 53 and 64. This report will be introduced by Sam Bamber, Head of Licensing Partnership.
Thank you, Chairman. This report is the follow-up to when I came in June to get approval to go out for consultation so as to amend the existing taxi policy so as to revert the requirements, which are medical certificates for drivers over 45 years, to revert it back to the bringing it in line with the 3-year renewal rather than every 5 years. You approved it to go out to consultation, and this report now sets out what the results of that consultation was, and I can confirm, because we had to publish the report on the last day of consultation, so just to confirm, we did not receive any further comments to those that are outlined in the appendix. So what you'll see is that a majority of the trade didn't respond. Whether you take that as they're happy to see the change or they're just not bothered, that's for you to decide. And the results of the people who did respond have been set out in the appendix. And what I would say is it's a mixed bag of comments. I would hope that you will go with my preferred option, which is to amend the policy, because what I want to see is, for Maidstone, is to come back in line with how it used to be, because then it won't lead to increased costs for Maidstone in order to process those applications. Because just for anybody who wasn't here the last time when we went through it, doing it every 5 years means we have to run a monthly report just to pick out any that are coming up that need that reminder, as opposed to knowing that it just comes round on renewal and lining it up with the renewal reminders, which is extra work that we're doing for Maidstone and none of the other partners, which we didn't anticipate would be a thing when this was changed back in 2020, 2021. Now we've seen the impact of that. I think the best thing to do is to go back to how it used to be, so as to keep Maidstone at the same in terms of costings. Otherwise, we're going to have to increase the cost to Maidstone, which would have to be passed on to the trade by way of the sort of fees and charges for the drivers. So happy to take any questions other than that, or any comments.
Any councillor wishes to?
Well, having not been around when it was changed, I can't fully understand the reasons why, and I would be in favour of it stepping back in line with the other three. It seems pointless having a joint partnership and singling out one borough's taxi drivers from the other three, so I'd be happy with that.
Councillor Spring?
Thank you. I can help there. The change was due to COVID, and COVID put a huge pressure on the trade in finding enough drivers and all sorts of things. So we did an awful lot of things to try and help the trade through at that time, and that included changing that date. But I do see that having the two dates, the renewal date and the medical, out of sync is not logical, and I do appreciate it is technically an extra cost for the trade, but it was always like that, and it was only amended at their request to help them at the time. Thank you.
This report makes the following recommendations to the Licensing Committee: that the Hackney Carriage and Private Hire Policy, taxi policy, will be amended to update the requirements regarding medical certificates for drivers over 45 years of age, so as to require them to be renewed every 3 years. Is this agreed? Noted?
Are you moving it?
Shall I move that? Shall I move that?
Is that seconded?
Is that seconded?
Yes, it has to be agreed.
Is that agreed?
Yes, good.
Thank you. I move to item 17, Hackney Carriage Fares Increase 2025, pages 65 to 75. This report will be introduced by Sharon Bamber, Head of Licensing Partnership.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm covering this for Lorraine Neal, who wrote the report, and I just wanted to mention, if you go to page 70, paragraph 3, I just wanted to be made clear that where it says available options, it should be made clear that this is a request that is asking for your approval, that we give notice to the public and trade about the proposed increase in tariff. It's not that the tariff will be changed tonight. We would have to advertise it legally, and then we come back only if there are any objections. So it's not quite clear in 3.1 that it's going out to notice, and it almost gives the impression that you would be making the decision tonight. So apologies for that, but it is clearer in the earlier part of the report. Happy to take any questions.
Councillor Harper?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Obviously, I'm not an expert on licensing since this is the first meeting I've been to for a good number of years, but I'm a bit concerned that we're being asked to increase charges by between a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 19%, as is outlined in the table on paragraph 2.4 and also in 2.5, increase those charges by 15%. Because as the report says, if we do these charges, again, it says in 2.3, and we'll have one of the most expensive taxi fares in Kent, and looking at the 2-mile journey for private hire, if we go up to £9, we'll be joint top with Tunbridge and Malling, whereas our neighbouring authority in Ashford, you could do the same distance for £7.60. You know, we're in the middle of a very tough cost of living crisis, and to be looking at increases of 15 to 20, just under 20%, 19%, seems to me to be unreasonable. Unless it can be really severely justified to me this evening why we should be looking at such high increases, I would not be voting for the proposal.
Thank you. Councillor Spring?
Thank you. So this fare review is just for Hackney carriage, correct? So the comparison table we have on 69 is compared to a private hire. Now, I know the trade have asked for this, and, you know, over the years we've worked really well with the trade, and I respect when they come to us to talk about things. I think they know if they put the fares up too high, they will lose trade to the private hire business. So I'm very mindful that, yes, the fares are going up, but I do think that when you look at that table, we're not horrendously out of kilter with the private hire vehicles. So I do support this request from the trade. Thank you.
English?
Yes, it's fairly academic what the rates are in Ashford if you're catching a taxi in Maidstone, frankly. So I'm not really bothered about that. And I use taxis quite a lot, I have to say, and probably use them more than anyone else in the room, other than the drivers. The fact is that it's not an easy job to do, and there are a lot of increasing demands, and we have to, in terms of keeping the trade competitive, fare increases do have to happen from time to time. Now, if there is major opposition or to this, then that is the purpose of going out for consultation. We are not making a decision now, we're making a decision to go out to consultation, and if the feedback is negative, we will pretty soon find out, and at that point we can change our decision or potential decision. I think we should go out to consultation, and if we do get significant backlash, then perhaps we should reconsider it, but I think we should ask the question.
Yes, if you would comment upon that, please.
Okay. Well, just to confirm, it's the trade who come to us with any requests to increase the tariff, and then we are duty bound to bring it through committee and see that process through. So we don't get, as in officers don't get to comment on whether we think it's right or wrong, whether we think it's too much or too little. We simply have to bring this as part of the process. Just to pick up on something that Councillor Spring had said, because I've just quickly read, those tables do relate to Hackney Carriage. It's just that it was published in the Private Hire Monthly, but I do believe those tables all relate to the Hackney Carriage tariffs, not private hire. Just so that, in case that from amongst anybody. But yeah, there's nothing more I can add at this time.
You'd like to come back?
I'm happy to propose a motion as per papers on
We have a
66 when you
further
finish.
speaker. Councillor Jablinski. Did I
Thank
get
you,
anywhere
Chair.
near it?
I think that's about right.
Oh.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, why we haven't had any increases since what 22, so it's 3 years. I don't know about anyone else who's got cars and insure them. Mine has definitely increased significantly, and I think this is quite reasonable personally. But as Clive says, it is going for consultation. So if there are any problems, that we'll know then. So I'm quite happy to move this as it is now and go for it. Thank you.
Mr. Harper, for the third time.
No, second time on this item. Okay, so I assume I'm probably going to be, my suggestion not to go ahead with it is not going to be supported tonight. But I would like to know, how do we intend consulting with the wider population across the borough, and in particular, how are we going to target users of taxis if we are going out to consultation? Because if we just put an advert somewhere, the likelihood is the people who use taxis will be completely unaware of this, and until they suddenly have to find an extra 19% to get home or get into town or wherever they're going. So if we are going to consultation, I would like to know that we are planning to target heavily people who use taxis, and under what route will the council ensure that people using taxis are consulted and we have evidence that they were consulted? Because otherwise, going out to consultation, I'm afraid, means nothing in terms of this when we're looking at a discrete population of people using taxis.
I have a proposal from Councillor Springett. Sorry?
Thank you, Councillor McKay. Councillor Harper, there is a statutory regime about how the authority needs to advertise any proposed changes, and it will go out, the proposed changes will go out by that statutory regime, which is a notice in the local paper. There may be other methods, and probably on the website.
I believe it will require a notice, possibly to be displayed at the actual sort of council offices, and it may well need something on the website.
Yeah, there's a minimum statutory regime that needs to be complied with, and if there are any objections which are not withdrawn, it will come back to licensing committee for further scrutiny at that point. Thank you.
Jill?
Thank you, Chair. I agree with Councillor Harper, and I don't think a notice in the local paper or possibly a poster at the town hall or wherever is sufficient. Can we not do like a little poster or a little leaflet that goes in the back of every taxi so that people who are using it actually know that this consultation is going on? So I mean, who of us here buys a local paper every week? It's very outdated.
Thank you.
Yes, my point was very much in agreement with that. And also, surely the main beneficiary of these increases, apart from the taxi drivers themselves, will be their rivals, Uber or less reputable organisations. I'd rather the Hackney licensed taxis keep their share of the business, because we know they're well regulated, their drivers undergo all these checks. But surely if the increases carry on and put these prices beyond people's reach, they will be using other taxis which aren't necessarily so reputable.
Is there anybody proposing a motion other than to accept?
I think we could use the website and social media to give it a bit more of a profile if we're worried about the scope of consultation.
I think that is, we're not proposing to alter the proposal in front
No,
of us,
I'm
are we?
just saying-
We're asking officers to take note of that and action it, yes.
Yes.
But it doesn't alter the motion. So I have a proposer for the motion. Do I have a seconder? We have a seconder. And we are all agreed that we wish for the council to use other means to publicise these proposals. Is that agreed? We're accepting these proposals? Yes?
Mr Chair, I
To
think,
go to consultation?
I think with respect you should ask for those for and against and then perhaps do a separate vote on
I'd like
making it
my
alternative.
proposal to up the media profile, that taken as a formal amendment, which is what I was suggesting, and that would make it a lot clearer. So I suggest that we use the council's social media channel and the website to actually, the consultation section on the website, to actually make it clearer that we are actually proposing these, well, these increases are being proposed, because it's right, a notice in a local newspaper by itself is not sufficient in this day and age, although it meets the legal requirement. And that's my amendment.
Presumably,
With respect, can I ask a response from John?
I hear the conversation that's taking place. What I don't want us to do is to commit to something that we can't do. So I'm quite happy to take this away and have a conversation with our communications team about how we use our existing social media and existing website to publicise the changes. Yeah. Yes.
thank you, Mr Chair. Surely we'll consult in the same way we normally do on anything else. So it'll be on the website, people receive emails. I don't see why this should be any different to, you know, anything, any other type of consultation we do, really.
Councillor?
With respect, that isn't what the chair and the officers have said. They've said legally all they're obliged to do is put a notice in the local paper and a post in the council offices. They didn't say anything about emails to residents, and each consultation that we do, sometimes things are slightly different.
Well, certainly.
The law on how this is advertised comes from 1976, which obviously predates any electronic matters. Now, that is the statutory minimum that has to happen. The council may be able to do, and often does do, consultation above the statutory minimum, but it would be subject to, you know, a number of things, a number of practicalities within the council. So what Ms Littlemore was saying about being able to take on board additional ways that could be consulted on is something that can be done, but committing to various forms of consultation over and above the statutory minimum might then be hard to achieve.
I'm sorry, I don't see a post on Facebook as being hard to achieve. I mean, it's just nonsense.
Point of order.
Councillor English, point of order.
The officers are committed to looking into this and doing what they can with it. I think we should take them at their word, and I move that the question be put. In other words, the original motion.
You're seconded the...
No, I'm moving a point of order, the question be put, and we have a vote on the motion, having the officers having given a commitment that they will look into doing additional consultation as possible, as practical. And I think we have to take their word that they will do that, and not try and design some bespoke consultation form in the middle of a committee meeting.
I propose that we go to the vote on this. Yeah. This report makes the following recommendations to the committee: that the table of fares set out in Appendix 3 of this report be agreed. Yeah.
Do you want to take them all together or individually?
I want to take them all together.
Take them all together. Okay.
So I propose that we take these all together. The Head of Housing and Regulatory Services be authorised to give public notice of the Council's intention to fix this table of fares for hackney carriage vehicles in accordance with Section 65(2) of the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1976. If there are no objections, the proposed fare increase will take effect on the date of the specified on the notice, and should objections be received, this matter will be brought back to the Licensing Committee for consideration within 2 months of publication. Shall we take a vote on this? All those in favour?
Are you voting?
Yeah.
Fine.
Those against? That is agreed. The proposal will go forward. 5. I voted. I've got a little hand. I think this concludes our meeting of the Licensing Committee, and thank you for attending, councillors and guests.